Keep it cool, keep it cool, keep it cool, keep it cool.
I understand, man. This show was so damn good. It had me breaking protocol. Even if I am excited or got a lot to say, I don't call you. I kind of keep it simple. We just kind of do our little. You make your comment. I'll make my
I'm
comment. I was trying to be good. I was like, don't call him. I was like typing some notes. I'm gonna call him. Don't call him. I was just still watching it. Put some more notes. That's good. Don't call him. Don't do it. Don't
no, I gotta call him.
don't do it. Like screw it. I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call him. He'll be busy anyway. I might get his voicemail, so I'll just blow up his voicemail and you
The
answer. I'm like,
only reason I didn't blow up your phone last night is because I finished it at fucking midnight, and I was like, show some restraint. Show some
oh,
restraint.
you know what took the call too, but man, who knew? Okay, okay. You know what? Okay, let's don't even play around. Um,
Yep, right
good to
into it.
see you. Let's get it. Five, four, three, two. All right, so we're back again for another one, and tonight I have with me
Ryan.
the geek extraordinaire, Aiden. I am your father, uh,
Man, I gotta
Star
use that at
Wars
some point.
connoisseur.
Connoisseur. Because then I
Uh,
can sample the parts that are good
that's right.
and leave the other bits behind.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You are definitely a tastemaker when it comes to this genre, for
I don't know about
sure.
tastemaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just for gentle listeners, as a tone set, we're going to start off, or try to, nice and calm and laid back. And this is the counteract, the expected hype and excitement about how much the two of us enjoyed episode 10 and the
Yes.
third arc for Andor. And I know this not only because I, of course, know my feels,
Hmm.
but for the behind the scenes. Normally, we watch an episode, we text each other. I've seen it. Let me know when you've seen it. Let's schedule a time.
Yeah.
And tonight, Jay broke the protocol. This guy called me on my phone. My phone. He used it to talk to me. To be like, yo, I saw it. Oh my God, it's good. I'm like, yeah, I know. And we had to stop ourselves from just doing an episode over the phone and not recording it. So
Exactly.
you're welcome. We showed restraint.
I was weak. The show was that good, and I was itching the whole time just watching. And I'm thinking like, I'm gonna call him, and I'm like, no, no, don't do. That's not cool because you're gonna say everything you're gonna say. Save it for later and watch it a little more. And they're like, oh, that's good. I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call him just to say hi. You know, just let's see what Ryan's up
Right?
to at 9 o'clock at night. Let's just check in on him, see what's up.
Ironically, listening to one of Jay's episodes, it was the Atlanta Bill Cosby tangent. And I was like, he's calling me and I'm in the middle of one of his episodes. Rude.
Funny
Oh,
man, that's funny,
this fucking show.
man.
So I again just pulled up IMDb because I wanted to make sure I had, the actors' names and stuff and the character names and stuff.
Right.
And it was showing the queue of episodes, and I had to refresh it because they didn't have the name for episode 10 last time I had it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so 10 comes up, but they also have the star ratings. And it's just IMDb,
Oh.
so take it grain of sand.
Mhm.
But you can see a very interesting pattern of like the first three episodes start like the mid sevens, like 7.4, 7.6, and then the third one, right? The
Mhm.
third one in the arc, like jumps up into 8. And then the next one jumps down to the mid to high sevens. And then every time like the third part of an arc drops,
Uh-huh.
it jumps back up like a whole star. And this last one is rated as a 9.6, episode 10. At least as of today, when I looked at it,
That's
just
crazy.
now, is
Yeah.
at 9.6, and they're right.
Yes, yes, they are. That's crazy. So that's showing that people are watching it like that. Then they are digging in, but waiting for it to hit that climax and get to that ending before they kind of get their overall feelings of it, which is fair because really that's the way it's being presented. Even though they're not saying that, that's
Yeah.
how it's really being presented.
So there's this one guy I'm friends with on Facebook, Michael Rabel. He he works for Cinequest down in San Jose, so he
Okay.
puts together like the selection of what films are going to go into the program every year. Like he really knows his stuff. Has a very refined taste, if you want a tastemaker. So he says in this post, like, Andor is like the best thing he's ever seen out of Star Wars, and he
Yeah.
doesn't like Star Wars. Like he's like,
Oh, wow.
I enjoyed maybe 4 of the movies, doesn't watch any of the other stuff. Like he's not a Star Wars person,
Yeah.
but apparently he is watching Andor and he's like, this is fucking amazing.
It's just
And it's like,
good.
yes,
Yeah. I don't know if I could call it even television, but it's just great television. Even if it wasn't Star Wars, if he was to say that he,
just like go watch this great sci-fi show. It's a fucking
Right.
blast. Like,
right, and it just messes with your senses because of the way it looks, the way it's styled, and everything, and then also even like it's almost like the 70s kind of trippy sci-fi music that's going on in the background. It's just hitting on so many different levels. It's like, yeah, it's just, it's aware of everything. It's not leaving anything left to, like, oh, the visuals are good, or the direction is great, so don't worry about the sound, or the sound is great, don't worry about the direction. They covered everything from the score.
Yes.
Everything is on point. It's like when you watch this, sometimes what we have, and I don't like referring to other shows and stuff, but I gotta do it just for reference. But like,
yes.
okay, when we're watching Book of Boba Fett, and I made this comment about the kids having those glossy candy apple red scooters and stuff, and it looked like it didn't match the world and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it threw everything off. Like, this is totally on point. It has everything that, if it's there, it makes sense. Even if it's not the world I even thought it would be in my mind's eye, they're showing it to me, and they're putting it in a way where I understand how it fits and why it fits. Nothing stands out. Everything is crossed and dotted. Like I said, from the sound, from the look, from the character development. For this to be such a busy show with so much going on and so many things going wrong and happening with so many different people, for it to naturally go through these things without any outside forces or somebody getting dumbed down or something to make a plot work, which is happening a lot in things now. It's like, we can't write our way out of it, so let's just make somebody dumb and let's just tip the scale. And you could see their finger on the scale, so they're messing with it. Versus,
just gonna hand a character the idiot ball. You're the idiot this episode.
Instead of just making it right through
forward.
story, or even letting the person even play into their own nature to get themselves in or out of the problem. Instead, they're doing acts of God that is so obvious, and it just takes you away, and it disrespects the character and the show. So, when we have this, that is almost like, how they got those new technology with CGI and everything, and they have things where, say if it's like a car accident or somebody's crashing or something like that, or they need somebody to get hurt, right? And they got these like CGI dummies that react. You put in the information and they should have the same kind of reaction as a real person would, right? And so it's not tweaked or anything, but it's kind of saying, if you got this kind of force and this kind of stoppage and the character weighs this much and the car is built out of this kind of material, crunches and all this other kind of stuff.
It's a highly simulated ragdoll.
Yes. This is like that. And it's just like, okay, let's put them in some crazy situations and let's see how logically get out of that situation. Even if it's messy or dirty, how would it naturally react to this situation? Not how you would want the perfect situation for the outcome you want. And like I said, doing that act of God in there, but staying out of it and letting it fall where it falls due to the situation that it is in. And this show is that.
Yeah, like to your whole thing about, you're not having to like, we're going to make this character do something out of character or have them act dumb suddenly. Like, everybody's acting smart. Everybody's acting within character and to their own interests, right? Like, within sort of tabletop, like running D&D campaigns, like I was talking to my buddy Arthur, he's running a D&D campaign, and like he had to tell his players, like, yeah, you should expect my bad guys to, one, want to win and want to kill you, and also they will sometimes run away like actual people. Like if they get their hit points are low enough and they've got an exit strategy, they're going to execute on that exit strategy even if they're winning, right? Yes. They're just like, nope, getting the fuck out. So taking that same approach and writing every single character to be internally consistent and intelligent. Mm-hmm. So, for example, so with the Intelligence Bureau, the ISB, we've seen these meetings, and the redhead in the room, Lonnie, mm-hmm. right? He's one of the other sector chiefs, and he's kind of been in the background, occasionally chimes in. But I think it's episode 9 really now, where the ISB has come across a rebel plot. They've picked up a pilot. They interrogated the pilot, right? It's set up like might even be as early as 7 that they caught a guy, send so-and-so to interrogate it, or it was in 8. But they've got it. They've got a plot. They're going to go and like pretend like they didn't catch the guy. They're going to fake his death. Mm-hmm. They're going to pretend like he had a shuttle accident, right? Mm-hmm. And they're just going to let him be found. Like, oh, we didn't find the plot. Please go ahead and continue with your rebel plot so we can catch you in the act. Mm-hmm. And Lonnie's got this interest because he's in the room, mm-hmm. right? And he's like, to make sure that we're acting our part as Imperials, like, if we learned a ship had come in like this, we would go and inspect it. So we should be consistent and send a team to visibly go inspect it. So the rebels aren't like, why didn't the Imperials inspect it?
Right. We should move how we move.
And that's like, okay, we should move how we move. And I'm like, okay, that tracks. Also weird, but okay. It was like, okay, no, it works. And that's in episode, I think, 8. And then it's in 10 or it's in 9, whichever one it was. But then in this last episode of the arc, we find out Lonnie's working for Luthen. And it's just so fucking good. Because now it recontextualizes that as like, was he trying to warn the rebels? Because when he meets with Luthen, like he's like, hey, da-da-da. He's like, why are you really coming to me? He's like, all right, look, we found out about this plot. Like, you have to warn them. Like, they're going to get fucking wiped out. And this, Luthen, so, again, I love my spy shit, and this is total spy shit, where it's like, oh, the other side has learned we're going to do a thing, but we've learned that they know. If we act like we figured it out, that they're going to come and counteract our action, then they will know we have someone on the inside. And that will put them onto our mole, which is you, Lonnie. So I can either decide to protect you and your little beautiful family, or I can let 50 men die, and I can get 50 more men. I can't get you.
Yeah, you're worth more than 50.
Dude, you're worth way more than 50. And it's like, and Lonnie's trying to get out. He's just like, I can't fucking hack this. Like, it sounds like 6 years he's been working his way up in ISB, and he's like, now he got a kid, and it's like, this is too fucking real now. Like, if this goes sideways, like, my whole family gets fucked. Like, I want out. I'm just gonna quit the ISB. Like, and I'm done with you guys. I'm done. Too scary now. And Luthen's like, you think they're gonna let you walk away? Which is also like, I'm not letting you walk away. Like, you're staying. It's like, ugh.
Okay. So, we're gonna come back to this only because I'm trying to be good.
Go in order. Because that last scene needs to be last. Yes. Like, we'll get to the other part of that scene.
It's so much that I want to say. And I know if we start diving into that and start tearing that apart in a good way, digging in, that we will not go back. I know that. I know that. Because that's the first thing we went to in our little quick phone call.
You're right.
Straight for the neck. All right.
Restraint.
Okay. So, just to be right. First of all, we're talking about Andor.
Yes.
We're talking about episode 8, 9, and 10. Okay. we're discussing like 3 parts. That kind of gives a whole arc.
1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7 is a transition episode, and
yes.
8, 9, 10 is our third arc.
And we on 8, 9, 10. And boy, okay, let's start like this. So for 8 and 9, well, we'll start with 8, but we see that we have 2 tornadoes that's been ripping through this show since the beginning come to a head. They meet.
Oh,
right.
Dude, episode 8 is fucking amazing for being like, hey, these 2 characters, Cyril and Lieutenant Deidre.
Yes.
Is like, yeah, you've been rooting for them because they're the underdogs within their organizations and they're not recognized and they're doing good stuff and they're like really dedicated and they're like, they're fucking monsters.
And they've been stirring for this whole time. And you know what? I don't know why, but I never thought that they would even ever collide. I didn't even think that. They were just doing their little thing from their side of the room. So not knowing that they would ever meet. And not that the meeting even happened the way I thought it would happen. Or the totality of that meeting didn't necessarily, and it's not over yet, but even that meeting didn't quite work out the way I thought it was going to be. But the fact that it came together was beautiful. Beautiful. And the thing is, that reaction that they had to each other was very honest and true. Versus how somebody else would have handled this. It'd have been like, you're chocolate. I'm peanut butter. Let's make Reese's.
Right.
Instead of that, the chocolate was like, you seem kind of weird, peanut butter. I don't know you. Yeah, we might be great together, but
Deidre's like,
no.
I'm water. and Cyril's but I'm not oil. And she's like, you're fucking oil.
Right.
We are not the same.
I do not know you. Are you stalking me? Right.
Go back to doing your little side job.
Right.
We'll call you. Don't call us.
Right. And she's recognizing his offness. Now, any other show, they'd have been like, we're going to exploit this guy because he got this information and he's for the team. You know, it didn't work like that. And so the fact that there was even resistance to it, or her even recognizing like he might be too much, or even how to even fold him in, or even if she should fold him in. The fact that's even a thought for her, and almost feeling uncomfortable, and how she's trying to use her rank to act stronger than she actually is, and when she gets away from him and to herself, and she kind of like exhales, you could see like, you know, was she uncomfortable because she was like a woman, or was she uncomfortable because he was too much and didn't know what it actually meant? It's going too fast. So I love that they showed that side of that. I love that it gave that perspective of it. Like it was some extra stuff going on to that versus just letting the guy come in there and we're going to team up and get those guys. It wasn't that easy. And I love that the reaction was what it was. It was very refreshing.
Yeah, he's going next level creeper, because I think it's 9 where he waits outside the ISB offices, and clearly he's waited there multiple times to try and catch her and be like, hey, I felt a vibe, we're on the same page. And she's like, you fucking weirdo, like stay the hell away from me or I'll have you arrested. Like wild. Fucking wild. Like I got the fervor from him of like Law and Order, but man, doesn't know how to read the room. Right.
And being that we know how he is, we understand where that's coming from, so we don't read it as him being straight creepy. Like, we know he's creepy, but we kind of know where this comes from. You know, he has a lot to prove, and so he doesn't know how to show restraint when it comes time to, you know, it's almost kind of like if it was used.
We're both creatures of ambition.
Right.
I don't think he said that, but like that was the vibe of the conversation. It's like, yo, bud.
Yes. Something about having a passion, but if it's not tempered correctly, it can come off crazy and people read it different, even though it might be the same energy and the same focus somebody else may have. If it's not tempered the right way, it can come off very crazy. Another thing, and I'm going to quote a group that I really enjoy, Hall & Oates. You know, I think it was in episode 8 we found out that Val is
a rich girl and you're gone too far.
So
and the cousin to Mon.
yeah. See, I picked up that she was a rich girl when her and Cinta were talking. What was it on Ferrix?
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, and Cinta's like, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna watch what's going on at Ferrix with the Imperials.
Yeah.
You go on and look for Andor, go do the other stuff. But she's like, but shouldn't I stay here with you? And it's the like, look, we were bunkmates, and like I'd probably keep being your bunkmate, but we're in the goddamn rebellion, and
Right.
I am for the rebellion first.
Right.
It's like we don't get all those other comforts until this is done. Vel's like, fuck. But Cinta references like she's not a rich girl running away, right? We're alluding that Vel is the rich girl running away.
Exactly.
They sprinkled that little thing in there, and then so when she shows up in Mon Mothma's abode, and it's like, oh, she's that rich girl. Okay, that was so well done.
It's chess.
That it's not just like Mon Mothma on her own. It's like, oh, there's other people from Chandrila, from her very rich family, that are also like, yeah, this Empire shit is bullshit.
Yeah. And she's trying to give her cousin a little, pretend to be a rich girl for a little while. You know what I mean? It's like you need to keep up that side of it. Made me think of what Alfred said to Batman about, hey, you need to take care of the Bruce Wayne facade. You got to keep that up too. You can't just walk around being Batman all the time. So I kind of dug that little conversation.
I feel like that's a little bit of Mon Mothma's like empathy and sympathy really coming out. Like I feel like that drives 90% of what she does, is she genuinely cares about other people, even the ones she doesn't know personally, right? That's what drives her morality and everything else. So she knows, or thinks she knows, what Vel is up to, even though Vel doesn't be like, yeah, I was part of that whole like bank heist thing. She's like, go be soft, right? Go be the rich girl, not only for your own protection, because then people will not suspect what you're doing, but also just go and be happy for a little while, like, because I'm sure for her, Mon Mothma's also like, yeah, I'm putting up with a fake facade all the time, but at least I'm doing it in creature comforts,
right?
And it's Vel that gives Mon Mothma the pep talk, like, we're fighting the darkness and making something of our lives. And it's like, that's saying something, because like, again, that's probably Vel more than Mon Mothma, because Mon Mothma's like, I'm a fucking senator. But for both of them, it's not just like, oh, I'm a senator so I have wealth and power. It's like, I'm a senator so I can affect positive change. So yeah, it's writing on this fucking show. There's literally like a Facebook page that has come up in my feed repeatedly where they're just like, here's quotes from a whole scene in Andor, and it's just like, yep, even on paper it's fucking fire. I found myself writing down half of them, and I'm just like, oh, that's just it's just so much. There's too many good lines, and it's not just lines but whole exchanges of dialogue, right?
Yes.
Like a zinger, cool, fun, haha, but like these are like emotionally charged scenes.
Yes, and what they are saying is just so relevant to today, and I can't help but notice it, and it's just very inspiring to witness and to hear. And also with this, it's just interesting that how we went from a show that was kind of like, from the beginning, a man with no name, right? And then it turned to a heist movie, or quote show,
right?
Like the heist. And then we get into the third part, which is a prison show.
Right?
The prison show where they even got the old wise guy that's on his last leg that's just trying to, old Billy. Like Billy is too old to be there, and he's still chugging along and trying to, you young guys, we like his life is pretty much over, and it's almost kind of like, if you the young guy that's coming in, you look at Billy to know what your future is going to be, if you like it or not. That's what that symbolized. Like, you're young and you're seeing how you bright-eyed and think you're going to get out of there, and look over to the left and you see Billy, and that's your ending. They
did such a great job with, I don't know what the character's name is. It Billy?
No, I'm being funny.
But let's call him Billy. He's the old man. So let's set the scene. So Andor gets brought into the prison on I don't know, Nandor 5 or something like that. And there's multiple of these prisons. They're like these weird sort of like pylon islands in this lake. But they're brought down to separate floors and separate rooms where they're basically assembling Imperial machinery. And I'm pretty sure they're assembling part of TIE fighters because they're making this weird sort of hexagonal hub piece like that. I'm pretty sure is part of the stabilizers for a TIE fighter. But there's 6 people at each station, and Billy's one of them, and they're just like cranking these things out for like 12-hour shifts, right? Just forever. And there's so many times where instead of everyone resenting Billy, and you see Cassian do this specifically of like, oh, let me help you. Like, they're keeping him up because he's gonna get out soon.
Yeah.
So they want him to make it to get out.
Yes.
So you empathize with them, caring about him, but also like you're rooting for him through them so that when eventually he just dies of a fucking stroke because he's just so fucking old and overworked literally to death that it hits harder. And then the other part of that scene kicks in, which is like, oh, there it is.
Yes, because we find out that his death was pretty much the best way out of the situation because there's a rumbling of something going on. And I love how in between their shifts, they're in these hallways, right? And these hallways have windows.
You can see other floors up above. Yeah,
and this
massive.
place is huge. And they worked out some kind of sign language system where they kind of chatting to each other from afar. And it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. But just
that's episode 8. They established that.
Yes.
Right away. The first time they're going through, you got one of the guys at his table, like doing the YMCA through the glass to the other people.
Right.
We find out that one of the other floors, like everyone's agitated, and one of the other floors, they fried because all the floors in the prisoner sections can be electrified. And that's their compliance routine. And so they find out that like everyone's upset. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And they find out from the doctor that is called in to let Billy go gently that what happened on 2 was that someone got cycled out. Like their time was up. They all got clocks in their little beds of how soon they get out of the prison. Someone got transferred.
They were on 4, and then they got transferred
and they were supposed to be leaving, and when their time was up, they just said, "Nope, you're going down to floor 2. You're not leaving the prison."
Right, and they realized he was from another floor.
And all of floor 2 was like, "What the fuck?" And so they hit the switch and fried everyone. They killed 100 prisoners just to keep that quiet. And that comes out because the doctor's like, "Oh, well, poor Billy here. This is the only way out." And Andy Serkis, Jesus Christ. At first when Andy Serkis shows up, I was like, "Really? You're okay?" This like Andy Serkis, I feel like is an underrated actor.
Oh yes,
he is really fucking good. And I'm like, they're having him here. All right. So he's the floor captain for Andor's shift, and he's the one basically like middle management. He's like, "Hey, everyone, just fucking behave, do your job. We'll all get out of this. We all got our time card. We're gonna get out. Just stay on program. Comply.
Right.
And he just monitors the floor, makes sure the different tables are up. And he's the one sort of like slowing Andor's role of like trying to do a rebellion within the prison. And he's there when Billy dies. And he hears the doctor say, "That's the only way any of us are getting out of here." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Well, so what happened on 2?" Because Andor's there. And it's like, "What happened on 2? You should know." And it's like, they fucking fried everyone. They found out that none of us are getting out. And they got agitated, and they killed all of them with a switch.
Right. So intercut with all this stuff is the fact that we go back to Andor's kind of home.
Oh, Ferrex.
And we see the assault on his friends and family due to them having and knowing information about him. And at first I was thinking like, why is he not giving them any information? You know what I mean? Like, he's coming to see him. I'm going to take you with me. You're not going to come. I'm going to leave. And, you know, sometimes when people are going to leave, they'd be like, well, I'm going here if you need me, or I'll call back Tuesday and you let me know. He just didn't say anything. So when I thought it was kind of weird when his like kind of surrogate mom, he didn't explain to her how he was involved in all that kind of stuff. I thought it was kind of weird, but he was on point. And yeah, and it came in handy because they came out there and tortured all his friends and family to get those answers. You know what I thought it was going to be? Because it was kind of like, and this was on episode, I think 9. And so when this was happening, I thought it was going to close out because the whole time we see them working on a, you know, the prisoners working on this thing. And you don't know what they're doing exactly. They're working on something. And
the technician in the background.
Right. So what I thought, you know, the way they were intercutting it, I thought the thing that they were assembling was going to be a piece to a torture device that they were using on the folks. But I seen that it was only like a little headpiece that they were using, and they were kind of messing with their brain.
I thought they were going to bring back the torture droid. From A New Hope, right?
Yeah.
That Vader tortures Leia with.
Yeah.
I was like, are they going to bring that out?
Yeah.
And they didn't, and it was so much better and so much more horrible.
Yes. But but that's what I thought he was going to do, because I thought it was going to tie in and be like, oh, he's building the actual thing that's going to be hurting his, you know.
And they didn't. They didn't go and explain. No. Here's the origin of the torture droid.
Yeah.
This is the doctor that made it. It's like, no, here's a totally other person that also made a horrible thing.
They zig when you think they're gonna zag. They're playing with us. They're knowing the tropes they're doing, and then they're on purpose being messy and switching it. They are going 200 miles per hour and hitting the brakes like
on a dime.
Like, no,
and
it's
the
crazy.
Amazing thing is, so this torture device, it's so monstrous, and it's the scientist technician that's there just explains it like he's talking about the newest vacuum on the market.
Right.
And instead, it's like, oh, we went to this whole planet and we found this sentient species there that we like couldn't communicate with, and they got uppity, so we just like wiped them out. But like apparently they make these horrible screams, like it's part of like how they communicate. And like we found these random technicians that like were like up in a crawl space, like naked and gibbering to themselves because they heard too much of it. So we took those recordings and we found, you know, just the worst parts of it, the absolute horrible worst parts. And apparently it's the sounds of them dying, like being tortured, and like I got the impression of like, please don't kill our children.
Exactly.
Like there was some line like that, and it was like, oh my god. So anyway, we remixed it like a DJ, like an evil DJ. And so
frick it.
You're gonna listen to it, and you know there'll probably be some permanent damage, but like what'll be a few minutes for us will feel like an eternity for you. So I'm just gonna turn this on for you. No big deal. Let us know when you want to talk. Boop. And just get bricks when they turn it on, just like her whole body locking up and just like screaming. And then it like cuts out and it's like, oh fuck, man, so well done.
And that administrator, he was so giddy about it because Deidre's like, you know basically you're not gonna get the answers out of me. And she's like, yeah, because she said, regardless of what I say, you're not going to believe me regardless.
That's what it was. Like, it was like, even
true.
If I tell you, you're not going to believe me. Exactly. So she's like, yeah, I'm not.
So that guy was like,
so it's like, we're just going to torture you anyway. And it's like, oh,
she's like,
fuck.
Yeah. She was like, you're up next. He was like, okay. He's all happy, rubbing his hands together.
Right.
And they did their thing. So that was craziness. And so I want to get to
that's the first big turn for Deidre's presentation. Like,
right.
That's like, oh, yeah, I'm switching from an office-based mode of me getting respect and me being listened to and like doing the best at my job and being recognized to like, and now I'm gonna go over here and torture some people.
Yeah, I'm about to be like dirty.
kind of all about it, and like don't give a shit and fuck you and like, whoa, okay, there's our fascist imperial system. Okay,
right. we're about to get to a part that I know we're just going to dump in on. So I'm going to get this little part out of the way. Okay, so Mon Mothma, she meets with her potential money launderer.
Oh, yes. Yes. Because
that was a very interesting scene.
They have a whole setup scene for it, too, where it's like, hey, so I got a solution. She's like, yeah, okay, cut to the chase. How's this going to work? He's like, so you gotta meet with so-and-so. And she's like, so-and-so, like, he's scum. And it's like, clearly, like, he's the mob.
Yeah.
He's the mob, right? Yeah. And so she wants nothing to do with it. Like, oh no, it's not reputable. Like, he hurts people, and it's just like, that's the fucking only option I'm able to find for it. And she's like, all right, fine, we'll take a fucking meeting. And
they want a meeting there at her place.
Right, not somewhere out of the way. He wants. Well, we'll see. Not just to trade in her respectability, which is a classic mobster move of like, oh, you've got status. Okay, that's what I want from you. I want your status to rub off on me. But I don't even want your money.
Right. But that's kind of classic too, though, where you got the bad guy who wants to be good. You know, like he wants the presentation. Like he knows his power in that. So that I have seen before, but I like the way he did it, and I like how he didn't want the money. He wanted the firstborn. Because he wasn't saying it, but he was like, pretty much, you know, I want to marry into your family, basically. I got a son. I just want to bring my... Because at first I was kind of thinking, like, why is she so mad about him bringing his son? And then he was like, I know you have a daughter that's around his age. I'm like, oh. So I'm thinking, he's thinking long game. Like, okay.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, the impression I have of Mon Mothma's marriage to her husband is like, it seemed semi-arranged. Like, it seems like it's very like an open marriage, kind of like on paper we are wed, but like we might decide to do other things on the side. Like, it seems like that's a Chandrilla thing. So it might be like, yeah, we're gonna arrange marriage for our kids. Like, so that's not just like a, hey, it's a meet and greet, and if they don't like each other, like, level went out and they don't have to do anything. And it's more like, yeah, no, we're setting up a thing here. And oh man, the fucking slick confidence of this guy when she's like, no, this is not on the table. We are not doing this. I will not. He's like, just consider. And she's like, I will not consider. And he's like, that's the first lie you told this whole time.
Exactly.
And then walks out and is like, oh.
Yeah. And you see her just after they're just shaking. She's just shaking. She is shook. She is shook, and rightfully so. So I thought that, you know, that verbal sparring was amazing to see. I like how each character kind of deals with things differently, and she's been shook since we first met her. And it's very interesting how so many people that is involved with this situation is very confident, and even if they are nervous about it, they are pretty strong in their convictions. And not that she isn't, but the way she deals with it is very different than everybody else. I'll say that, because she seemed to be fighting. You know what? I guess we're seeing the break in her mask. And I think everybody else seemed like they got a good handle on it, but hers is constantly having to be repaired as she goes.
Yes.
And she's holding it from moment to moment versus like other people sliding in and out of it with a back turn, you know, and she's constantly fighting to keep her face together.
For a politician, her poker face is shit.
Yes.
Like, it's okay at best, because like there's even like the party scenes and stuff like that where she's just like, she's going out of a conversation and like walking, and like her face will just change a little bit, just like, fuck this, or like like you could read. So it's subtle, it's quick, but it's there. Like, her poker face is not great. Not great. So yeah, her performance, I think, is just fucking excellent.
It is.
And like, she, I think in part because of her privilege, she's able to hold on to, as Luthen would say, her decency. And she hasn't had to get her hands dirty, like in various ways, right? She's detached from all of that, but like, she's gonna have to cross some boundaries. Like, that is that if she has an arc this season, that's what it is. Is like, she wants to do the right and moral thing, but she's gonna have to get her hands dirty in some ways. Like, this is going to be a rebellion. Like, it's going to be messy. Like, one way or the other, there's gonna be blood on her hands, right? Yeah. But I think that's also different from, like, I gotta put my daughter's body on the line in a very personal way. And that's just, that's her mask, I would say, utterly breaking at the end of that conversation.
Yeah, and I appreciate the realism in that situation, because many times people are down for the cause until their foot gets stepped on. You know, everything's always cool in theory, but it's a whole different thing, and everybody's not built for it. And so I just like that it shows that side of it too. I love it.
With episode 10, like, there's the entire prison break.
Here we go.
But then all the other pieces are about, what are you willing to put up, right? What are you going to ante in? And so for Mon Mothma, at the moment, it's like, well, are you going to put your daughter on the line, right? And ironically, Lonnie, Luthen's spy, the ISB agent inside, he's got a daughter, right? And it's like, yeah, I made the vow, but I got a daughter now. Like, this is fucking real now. Like, it was just me on the line, right? Like, there's this whole thing, like, my writer friend used to say that, like, people in their 20s, men particularly, write stories about what they're willing to die for, and then men in their 30s and beyond write stories about what is worth living for. Right? And it's like, what's the deciding factor? Do they have kids?
Yeah, because we are all, especially for men, we are based on what we have to lose. And, you know, when you're younger, all thing you have is yourself.
Right.
And depending on ego and status and all this other kind of stuff, you know, you can be kind of loosey-goosey with that. I could go in a blaze of
glory.
Right.
It's like, oh, now I have a kid.
But you got to come home. You have to come home. You have something to fight for or live for, which can make you even more dangerous. But if anything, it kind of keeps you more docile, because you know that certain things could lead to potential death, and it's going to matter.
You should hopefully be more conservative.
Right.
In your risk taking.
Right. Yeah. So that's usually what it goes with, you know. And then after your family is older and you get older, then you go from family to community, and you're worried about taking care of the outcome of everybody, because you already took care of your nest, and then you are to the community.
Right.
But that's this kind of cycle. Yeah. But that's the cycle of us, and that's how it should go. But okay, so we're gonna touch back on Lonnie and Lutheran at the very end, because it ended like that, but also it was cut. Like, this thing cut so nicely in between, because they're kind of going through the same journeys, but on different sides of it, and it's all true for them and their reality and situation, and it's just brilliantly done.
Before we do the prison break for episode 10,
okay,
we got to go back to 9, and that's where Billy, the old guy, dies.
Right.
And Kino, the floor boss, Andy Serkis, and Andor find out no one's getting out alive.
Nobody's getting out alive.
They're just going to cycle us through forever until we die. Whole thing with Kino is like, we just go along, get along, get stuff done, we all get out of here. And Andor has been like poking him and prodding him, like, how many guards are on shift at any one time? Right?
Stay on code.
He's presumably he knows more than anyone else. He's just like, stay on program. I'm not in. Your stuff is crazy. And then when the shoe drops, they're not getting out, and him and Kino are walking away from their dead friend. Yep. He asks him again how many guards are on every floor, and Kino immediately is like, never more than 12. And it's like, okay, now we've brought him across the threshold, and that's how that episode ends, and brings us right into 10. And now it's like everyone on the floor is like, let's fucking go.
Yeah, I love that little conversation they had before they were getting released back into population, and they're kind of going back and forth, and he's like, you know, you could tell that the Andy Serkis's character Kino, you see that he's trying to work through it, because his reality is crashing on top of him.
Yeah, he like gives him the guard count, but he's still like a little bit like, and Andy's just like, look, we're never gonna have a better chance than right now.
Right.
Because right now, they're afraid, and Andy's like, but they have all the power, and oh man, Andor has For a show that has great scenes and lots of great dialogue, this is one of the best just one-liners.
Yes.
Andy Serkis says, they have all the power, right?
Right.
And Andor says, power doesn't panic.
Yes.
Right?
You see their reaction.
If they felt like they were truly in control, they wouldn't have murdered that whole floor.
Yeah. If you're not scared, you don't need to flex. You don't need to flex if you're not afraid.
Exactly. Power doesn't panic. And they panicked. They killed the whole fucking floor. So if we wait, they're going to get reinforcements. They're going to get more guards because they realize that they're slipping. Right?
And we got 5,000 deep.
Oh.
5,000 deep. And even when they was bringing in the new guy, you could even see that the guard kept looking over his shoulders extra because he didn't know if somebody was going to try to. And they wasn't even going to do anything, but he was just concerned,
Right.
And you could see it on him. Yeah, that conversation was crazy. And then they open them up to the public and they're walking in and to the rest of the prisoners. And they're still kind of going back and forth and stuff. And they're like, pretty much telling Kino, like, you need to tell him. And they're walking and everybody's like, what happened? What happened to the old guy? What happened to the old guy? And they kind of just says, what's up? And Kino doesn't want to say. And Cassian is just getting on him like
fucking tell him.
we got to do something. We got to do something. So when they both got into their cells, Andor said, like, I guess he was saying something like, it was supposed to be a supposed like mistake that somebody that was on, that was on floor 4 ended up on floor 2, and they realized and they killed everybody, and basically like we're not getting out. And you can see Andy Serkis' character Kino just kind of like, we're not getting out of here, and pretty much suck it up and spend this night figuring out what we're going to do about it.
Yeah, because that's his whole thing of just like go along and we get out of here when our time's over. That's the thing he's been holding on. So to not just go like, it was an accident, of him just being like, no, we are never getting out, is such a massive flip in what he presents to everyone else in their shift. Yeah. And it's just like, no, this shit's fucking real. He is the authority on the block. Yeah. And now we need to figure out how the fuck we're going to deal with it. Go to bed. I'll see you in the morning.
Right. And I love how Andor reads the room well, and he knows what pieces go where. And even if the piece doesn't know, he'll kind of help guide the piece to get the best outcome. Like, everybody's also worried about their little piece. He sees the whole board. And I love how he interjects himself. And not being messy, but he almost knows where to push. He knows where to kind of pull apart or push forward. He knows how to maneuver well.
So I feel like he is a very different flavor. I want to emphasize a very different flavor of Captain America. Because the whole thing with Captain America, aside from him, of course, just being like super athletic and strong and super serum, he inspires people, which I don't think Andor does necessarily, a little bit. But he knows what the team's good at. He's the quarterback, right? But he's the one out front quarterbacking. Andor is not the charismatic quarterback, but he sees people and is like, you're a wrench, you're a hammer, you're a screwdriver, like you're a box of nails. He's like, okay, he starts putting pieces together. He also knows, reading the room, he can't convince everyone to do this thing. Yeah. He can't rally the troops. Right. Gino is gonna be the key to whether or not it's just a handful of them doing this or it's everybody doing this.
Yeah. And he is constantly the battery in everybody's back. So he inspires, but he inspires by pushing and directing from behind.
Yes.
So he's inspiration behind the inspiration. So he may go nameless, but he's the one that who inspired you. And we saw that with his mom. We saw that with the rebellion. We know his ending, and we know what he inspired by his acts behind the scenes.
Right. The way it plays out in this episode is amazing because once they start the breakout, which, oh man, they did such a great job with that. Like, they eventually shoot and fight their way up to the control room. They take over the control room.
And there were some loss too. You know how it goes when nobody gets hit, but it was faces that we saw talking and speaking parts, and we've been seeing for episodes, and they're shot and not winged, but I mean laying there dead. I'm thinking like, If this was like a regular show, he would be getting up, or he'd be like, "Oh, my arm." People are getting arm shots and dying. They're just gone. As much as it hurt to see, it adds so much.
Yes, it kept the tension cranked up because it's like, oh, people are just dying from go, and it just because there's two guards with blasters just like shooting down into the pit, and it's like, oh fuck. And so it just makes everything tense. So like, even though it's like, yeah, Andor clearly has to live, even for him, it's like, dude, is he gonna get shot because he's like trying to climb up below the guy? Like, yeah, the tension was just there the whole time.
Right.
But they eventually get to the control room. They take over. They shut down the electric floors, so no one's getting shocked, right? And they gets the PA system. Kino gets on the PA system, and it's because Andor tells him to get on the PA system. Right. Andor again is the battery, like you said, behind you, Kino. You got to tell them. You need to rally the troops, as it were, and then Kino uses all the things that Andor told him to get him to rise up and fight back. Yeah. I'm pretty sure almost word for word, like half of what Kino says is things Andor was putting in his ear on previous episodes, and certainly earlier in this episode and at the end of the one before it, 9. Yeah. So it's like Andor really is inspiring through a proxy. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, he's making him know who he is, because sometimes we know who we are in certain situations. Like, okay, you could be a great leader, say at work, but you don't understand that you could be that same leader at home. But just because you're in a different location, you don't know who you are in certain environments. So he was helping him, leading him back to who he was, but just in a different environment. Some people feel comfortable being a big fish in a small pond, but when they get into the ocean, you know, their legs ain't as strong as they remembered.
That plays out.
It was a test to that. And so, okay, so even before they got to that room, right, and they're working their way up, and they're going up to the level. They're trying to go to, I believe, level 8. And they're just going from level to level, you know, getting people out, telling them, you know, pretty much it's one way out, inspiring the people.
Right. And they came up with some sort of phrase. What was it? Only up or something?
One way out.
There is one way out. Right now. The building is ours. You need to run, climb, kill. You need to help each other. You see someone who's confused, someone who's lost. You get them moving and you keep them moving until we put this place behind us.
One way out.
One way out. And so they're going from each room, get whatever you can, just fight, and everybody working their way up. And so Cassian and Kino, they get to the top. And what's funny, even before. And so this voice we've been hearing for several episodes. It's kind of mechanical, and you can tell if it was a robot or not, right? Yeah. And so you see that this voice is an actual man. And so it's just beautiful how you don't see his face, you see his back, you hear the voice, and then it cuts to the room where the voice is coming from, and you see the guy, his voice inside the room sounds normal, and you hear like it's a regular guy, right? He's speaking. And I love how the truth of everything was starting to unravel, and it unraveled to the point of hearing the true voice of the prison announcer. Just like the truth was unraveling about what was happening to the prisoners. Like the truth was unraveling, like they was not really being released. They were being shuffled around. Like all the truth was falling apart. But to me, the fact that voice, you know, we got to see the voice behind the oppression, and you saw what that really was, right? And how easily it was taken out, right? But hearing that voice, it seems bigger. It seems, from where they were in their position, it felt like God was on their neck, right? Until they went upstairs and saw that it was somebody that was lower than even them. And so to have that...
Someone that was talking like this, but when he goes through the modulator, it's on program.
Right. So to see that, I kind of thought that whole thing with that whole voice thing, it was a great... I think it really tied into what kind of happened with this episode and these prisoners and stuff. And so, and like you were saying, Cassian had Kino give his speech, right? So the part, okay, so when I called you, I was like, man, I was getting choked up. I got choked up on the part. He said many of things, one being like, I'd rather die than to give them what they want.
Right.
But one of the things that really got me was, like he was saying, like, if you see somebody, they look confused and lost, you help them,
Right.
like you help
them. It wasn't
them.
just get yourself out. It's like we're all getting
Right,
out.
right,
Get
right.
everyone out. You see someone struggling, you pick them up.
Right. Because he's like, tell them what to do, and yeah.
It's a small but very big thing, because it could have just been like, we're out, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
We're all a bunch of criminals, let's go. But it was like, no, we are all in this together. We are all getting out of here.
He knew how they probably would react, and so I thought it was interesting that he went to those kind of like core values. Like the stuff like he said that really got me, I thought was beautiful, when he's like, it's almost like if you could give all this hard work that you're doing for that, if you could give half of that to trying to save yourself, we'll be home in no time.
Right.
Like sometimes we have such misplaced energy and we fight so hard, but we fight so hard for the wrong thing, or we fight so hard in the wrong direction. And then we wonder why we're stuck, and we were just, our compass was just off. We have the energy, we have the fight, but we just don't know where to place it. And so for him to say that, I thought that was very powerful. And I thought that, when he said like, run, climb, kill, do what you got to do.
Right.
You need to help each other, help them keep moving. If we fight as hard as we are working, we'll be home in no time. And there is one way out. And I was just like, he's speaking to us. He's speaking to humanity, and it would just make such a big difference if everybody just like, what, we got to help each other. We are all in the same situation. We're in the same boiling pot, even though we don't realize it. And if we just kind of just stop for a moment to understand what we're really dealing with in the situation we're in, that's what's going to really, change things. Otherwise, everybody's running for theirs, and so many people, and nobody will make it out. Everybody's getting trampled trying to get out the same door, versus everybody just understanding that we have to do it together to get out. And so I just thought it was just beautiful and very telling, and speaking to, a lot of truths that we need to incorporate as a society ourselves, to kind of fix things. It's just I love how truthful and honest this is. And I think it's very interesting how, and I was telling you before, I think it's very interesting and very powerful how a lot of things that we need to hear and do, we accept it better when we see it outside of ourselves. Because if somebody said it to us, we would take offense to it, ego would kick in, our fears would kick in and things like that. But when we see it put on something else, it's just as true for us. But sometimes, like I said, seeing it outside of yourself helps you digest it without any kind of judgment or fear. You don't put it on it because it's outside of you. But I just thought that it was just so much in this show, not just this episode, but the whole damn show is basically kind of giving us a roadmap to a possible future we can have for ourselves. But if we would apply it or heard it, or if this was done in a modern kind of way, people would think it would be unbelievable.
Right.
It would have to be in this thing to seem plausible. We would have to put it on some sci-fi show on Disney Plus.
Well, that is one of the great things about sort of classic science fiction and even fantasy sometimes, is you can take something that you want to talk about within society and put it in a, fantasy, a very alien sort of context, or within science fiction, just a radically looking or seemingly different context, and be like talking about the same thing. And it's like, oh wait, they're totally talking about what's going on today, blah blah. Like, and I feel like, so I had two vibes with this episode, with the Kino speech and then Kino speech with Luthen's speech. And so I think with both of them, each in their own way, like I got Network vibes, like the movie Network, where it's like, you gotta get mad, you gotta get angry.
All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. Oh, I want all of you to get up out of your chairs.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Right? That whole magnificent speech, and it's in the same vein. It's got the same sort of vibes, right? Certainly with Kino's. Kino's is definitely of like, yo, we like the only way is up. Pick up people that you see. Like, it's very much like we should, one, stop fighting each other. Two, there's more of us than there are them. Like, we need to like rise. And so the other take, aside from it being very the network speech,
Yes.
it's also like, is like, man, has someone been reading some Marxist critique of capitalism?
Right.
Because like, honestly, for Kino, he's the manager, he's the management class, and then capitalism, oh nope, fucked you over too. And it's like, all right, now I'm on board, let's overturn the whole thing. Like, you could read all of that in the same vein, but like the generalized, let's please all get on the same page and like actually work together, like, 1000%.
I think it's perfect that you use that as an example. First of all, I love that movie Network. And a good example is, like I said, the fact that you even use that is the fact that when he was on live saying that, the people are watching it, and some people are taking it in and hearing it for what it is, and then some people just thought he was crazy. But then the bosses and the powers that be, they knew he was speaking truth, so they need to get rid of him. But it's just interesting how they try to play him as crazy. But even for that art, which is crazy looking to us, we could see how true it is because we're outside of it. But if we were to see him saying that on the news, we would deem him crazy and he'd be removed very quickly. So it's interesting how, like I said, something on real life that you would see, you probably wouldn't take that. Or if it was being said to you, you probably wouldn't take it as well as watching it as a movie and seeing somebody do that. It's just like, oh, it's a whole different feeling. Even though it would be the same truth, it would touch you differently because one you saw on the local news versus you saw in a movie that's removed from you. But the same truth.
Hilariously, I'm just really realizing now that I think it's the opening scene from The Newsroom, right? That Sorkin wrote, right? Jeff Daniels. It's almost the same setup of the commentator sort of breaking character and being like, "No, both sides are bullshit." Da 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 da. It's the authenticity coming through. But this one, like, I could easily see people taking Kino's speech and editing it with different footage, and I think it would be pretty powerful stuff.
Yes.
And then there's losing speech.
Last
thing for Kino, the sad thing is, like, they all break out, they get out, and the thing is, they're still in the middle of a fucking lake. Each of these prison pylons,
yes,
like, they just open out onto a lake, and they don't leave any of the drop-off craft. They just fly up, get the fuck out, and then fly away. So the only way they have to leave is to jump in the water in the middle of the lake and then swim away. And as Andor and his buddy are like at the edge, like, Kino, let's go. Kino's like, I can't swim. And it's just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
He can't go.
Yes. I thought it was poetic because when they first started their, rebellion, or they was going to break out and leave, he was trying to stay to make sure everything was cool down there. And Cassian was like, come on up. Come with me. And so it's a little resistance. I didn't know what that was or why. Just like how he was kind of like leaning. Now, I know that he was saying like he was almost out, right? And that's all he's trying to get to. But when you saw his number, it was still hella high. So I didn't understand. To me, it was a mismatch. Like, why are you acting like you about to get out sometime soon?
Because he's got at least a year. Because he had like 500.
So
his number's like 500 something. Cassian's like over 1,000 or something. But,
right. But I'm saying, when I see that, and then when I saw, like I said, at the end, like the ironic part is that he freed everybody but couldn't free himself. And so I think that he kind of probably never thought to try to rebel or get out anyway, because he kind of knew the only way he would really be able to get out is through the front door the right way.
Right.
Because he didn't have any other option.
He didn't have any transport.
He had no transport. And it also kind of shows you and tells you in a way too, what you do know or don't know can affect you in a way of keeping you in a prison or keeping you locked up. Like, it makes a difference. And something as simple as swimming, changed his livelihood just as much as whatever he did to get there in the first place. Right. And so it's just funny.
It also reiterates too, like, there's going to be people that don't get over the finish line.
Yeah.
And sometimes they know that. Sometimes you, thinking Cassian now, of like the one that's instigating making this happen, you're going to put people in a situation where they're not going to get over the finish line.
Right. What I think is very interesting is that I feel that he probably, the truth is he probably knew that he wasn't going to be able to escape anyway because he knew he couldn't swim. And so it's
that makes it all the more tragic.
Yeah, exactly. And then, because even the part where I know Cassian would have probably been like, hey, I'll help you swim. And then someone knocks him off. But he gets pushed off. He gets pushed off on the edge, which I thought was like crazy. But you even saw that he was trying to talk to him and he still got knocked off. So it wasn't like he just peace out, sucker, and jumped. He was kind of like trying to like, so what happened?
It's like, oh, well, you can't swim. What? Boom, knocked over. And that's like one of the few times where it's like, that's the closest thing we have to seeing the hand of the writer in play. Because otherwise, we know Cassian would have been like, yo, so-and-so, we're going to help him swim. Let's all jump together. We'll get, like, he would have, like, put that together in 2 minutes. But it was just like, boop, nope.
But
bye,
but also that was kind of believable, too. That could happen where they could kind of lose balance. That's a lot of people trying to get out.
Get hurt.
Yeah. So
the other fun thing, so one of the guys at his table, the one that he does get the shore with, you see at the very end of the episode, they make it to shore, they're running through the dirt and stuff. Melishai, something like that.
Okay.
So I watched like the first 2 episodes and I was like, he sort of stands out. I don't know why. Yeah. And then I saw a thing where it's like, oh, he's in Rogue One. He's one of the ground troops that go and attacks on Scarif. He leads one of the assault teams.
Okay, I thought he's familiar because of this show. He looked familiar to me too, but I didn't know where I saw.
Yeah,
okay,
he doesn't get a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a lot of. I don't think he has any lines.
Yeah.
But that's just like one of those small things of like, oh,
wow,
okay, he's clearly like in for the long haul. But so that was cool.
Well, let's get back to that Lonnie and Lutheran conversation.
Ooh.
Lonnie was acting suspicious, but I didn't know he was also part of the rebellion. That he was like,
I will 100% admit I didn't catch it. All I caught was like, oh, okay, that's that whole thing of like, oh, we should do our usual routine and like inspect the thing and then leave. Yeah. I was like, okay. That was it. I wasn't like, oh, he's clearly a mole for the rebels. Like, nope, didn't read that at all.
Yeah, because he was kind of he was almost shoring up the situation for the rebellion. So it almost made sense, but I didn't know why he was looking weird about it. And I also didn't understand why Deidre seemed to be upset about it, because it seemed like she would understand it would be a good play as well. So when she reacted the way she did and he reacted the way he did, I didn't understand what that was. I knew it was something, but I was still shocked to see him.
Yeah, because he did that suggestion, and the leader was like, "Yep, nope, good call." Yeah, and like Deidre did a little like with her face, and I didn't know if that was just like that's unnecessary, like she's thinking, that's an extra step we don't need to take, or if it's just like that's hella sus.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
So I don't know. We'll have to see if like that's gonna come back and bite Lonnie. Yeah, but we get a scene in Luthen's antique shop, and his assistant Keela comes in and is like, so I saw the mark on the platform, and then I saw the section of the railing taken out, and it's clearly a signal. So it's like, okay, we got to go talk with our person. We haven't heard from him for a year, and it turns out it's Lonnie. We get this whole long sequence of him like going through the underbelly of Coruscant, which is really cool to see, and then getting into one of the turbo lifts and just going down. Because the hilarious thing is like, there's negative numbers and it's like negative floor 370 or something like it. He's way the fuck down.
Yeah.
And he's having this whole conversation with Luthen. Like there's a hidden earpiece up in the rafters of the elevator. And there's this whole layout of like, why are we talking now? By the way, congratulations on your daughter. Like, ooh, why are you bringing up my daughter? He's like, I think of you all the time. And it's like, oh, fuck. It's like, it's this whole sort of like, I care about you. I'm watching you. I can hurt you undertone. And it's like, why are we talking? And it's like, It's like, okay, the rebels. They know about the rebel assault. He's like, okay, I'll let those people die. It's like, what is this really about, Lonnie? And then they finally get down to the bottom. And the elevator opens. And I get the impression that Lonnie has never seen Luthen before.
Really?
I with the vow thing, maybe, but like, I don't know. In the moment, I was like, has he never seen Luthen before? Is like Luthen like making this real, like, no, I'm here and we are going to talk? Might be a subtext that I'm totally misreading.
Okay.
I don't know. But Lonnie essentially wants to get out, right? It's like, this is too real now. I guess I made the vows. I followed the vows. I got in at ISB. I've been your mole. I'm living the vows, but I have a daughter now. Like, this is too real. I can't do this. I need to get out. Right? And Luthen's like, you can't get out. Like, they're not going to let you get out. I'm not going to let you get out. Like, you're too useful.
Yeah, they need a superhero, and he's a superhero.
Yeah, he's a super mole. And then Lonnie goes and says, like I have to sacrifice all this stuff. What have you sacrificed? And here I thought Kino's speech was going to be the, oh my God, on fire. And it was like, no. All the whole arc, including the prison break with Kino, was just stoking this furnace, this furnace of like tension. And what are you going to sacrifice, Mon Mothma? What are you going to put on the line? You're going to put your daughter on the line. Lonnie at the end here, I don't want to put my daughter on the line. This is too much. Like, what does it take to like push a small rebellion within the prison? What are you going to sacrifice? That's all just more coal into the furnace. And Lonnie says, what have you sacrificed? And Luthen with... was it Stellan Skarsgård?
Starlin
Skarsgård reaches into the furnace and pulls out a blazing sword and says, let me tell you, motherfucker, about what I sacrificed.
Man, I'll tell you this. What I did know...
I've already seen that speech remixed. I've already seen it remixed with other footage from Andor of him just like... Wow. What have I lost? Like, what have I sacrificed? The
crazy part is that I knew what he was going to end on. I knew that it was going to end on that. What I didn't know was all the poetry in between before it got there. But I knew how it was going to end. I knew what the last word was going to be, but I did not understand, man. It was so beautiful, and it was so...
He had one line of like, I lost something in the darkness of space. I forget what he lost, but he's like, I lost it in the darkness of space. It was like, holy shit, this is next level.
He started off
with... It's literally, the dialogue's too good. The monologue's too good. It's too poetic, but it's fucking gold.
Yeah, he started off with calmness and then also love and all this other kind of stuff. He was talking about like certain like futures he wouldn't even have. And he said this one part that I thought was just brilliant. He was like, I burned my life to make a sunrise that I will never see.
Yes.
That I would never see.
So in another idiom, right? A wise man plants a tree under which shade he will never sit. Like that's one of my favorite idioms of pay it forward. Yeah. And he's doing the dark version of that. Yeah. I am burning my soul and my sanity, my decency. He literally says, I'm sacrificing my decency.
Yes. He just, he went to the minutiae.
Sunrise I will never see.
Yes, I burned my life to make a sunrise I'll never see. Talking about he shares his dreams with ghosts. That means he has
that line.
He has no one to dream or share his dreams with. He shares them with ghosts because he can trust no one. He cannot be him. He cannot give himself to anyone because it could jeopardize everything.
The even darker, sadder part of that is it's like he could have just said, I share my dreams with no one. He shares them with ghosts. He shares them with the dead people that he's probably gotten killed. Right? And it's just...
yeah, because he basically said, too, that he knows he's damned. He knows he's going to hell.
Right.
Like, he already, made peace with that. He knows. Ooh, that was crazy.
He's paying checks for like his ego 15 years ago. Like there's for a calculation he made like 15 years ago where like he saw the writing on the wall and he's just like, fuck, and his ego couldn't let it go.
It all cost.
That like I haven't had a chance to rewatch this episode yet, and I'm definitely going to rewatch this episode because it's on fire, and I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you want other people, like, again, us needing to cut a PSA for this fucking show. But it's like, you really want people to see this, but you also don't want any of it spoiled because, like, really, Kino's speech, Luthen's speech, it all works not only because of just this arc of 3 episodes, but it's the whole thing up to this point. Like... It doesn't have enough resolution to be the end of the season, but if they had just been like added 1 or 2 more, like a scene or 2 after that to wrap up the season, it would have been like, oh, amazing. But we still got 2 fucking episodes.
Right. So what else is there? But I love that regardless, if say we no more internet or whatever, no more Disney Plus, whatever, somebody pulls the plug or whatever. We have completed a journey in a way, and so this is just icing on top of a wonderful cake. And so, you know what? I hate to bring it up, but on other shows, they dig a ditch that they can't possibly get out of in 1 or 2 episodes left. So it's so nice that we already kind of landed. He's in a situation, he got out of it, and that situation he got in, it could have just been done in 20 minutes, but it got drawn out within 3 episodes, almost 3 hours. And I'm wondering, in the middle of a Star Wars TV series, how do you make a prison movie comparable to Shawshank Redemption? How do you do that? How's that possible?
Like
how's that possible?
Like the first arc is good for setting up the series, right? It's a good arc. It's a good arc to start a season. But then the bank heist is like, it's a pretty damn good arc on its own.
Yes.
Right? And then this prison arc has no right to be this fucking good. No right. And it's fucking excellent. Right? Like, I remember we were chatting about, like, one of my ideas for a sci-fi show, and I wanted a show that was Star Trek-ish, right? Where you go to this planet, and then next episode you go to this planet. Except the downside of doing that new weird planet a week thing is you don't get into anything, right? And that's why I was like, well, I would want it where it's like you would spend essentially a 3-episode arc dealing with the planet, their specific geopolitics, whatever the big plot thing is there, and give it time to breathe and feel like a place and get invested before shit goes sideways, right? And it's like, now I'm like, well, I just point to Andor as like, that would work. You can do that style of a season structure.
Yes, you
right?
can.
And it works, I think, specifically because it's streaming. Like, I think back to like Deep Space Nine, and even some of the other less sort of serialized versions of Star Trek.
Yeah,
they would have 2-parters occasionally, but that's a huge risk for syndication because if you miss part 1 or part 2, too bad for you.
Right.
But with streaming, oh no, I can surely go and catch this entire arc. And then the next entire arc, and like the whole thing isn't available as a smorgasbord. It's just a question of, has the episode dropped yet?
Right.
So, like, people best be taking fucking notes. Like,
That's right.
regardless of how Andor's numbers perform, which, like, going back to my buddy Michael Rabel being like, because he was saying, like, Disney dropped the fucking ball marketing this. Because, and he kind of said, like, it's probably because it's too much unlike the rest of their stuff. Like, for the average viewer for Disney Plus.
It's possible, but they got a lot on their plate. They got a lot on their plate too, and they're kind of bad at advertising everything, to be honest. And they have so much stuff, like how do you choose what's gonna, and then whatever kind of picks up first is what they're gonna put the energy in.
It's like, we'll advertise it at launch, and then it's on its own because we got movies coming out. But I think for the rest of Andor, we know exactly how this is gonna go. So I think the way the rest of Andor is gonna go is it's going to be that rebel attack that ISB knows about, because they've set too much of that up. They didn't just set that up so that the ISB could find out about it, so we could have this little scene with Lonnie. Like, clearly that's gonna kick off, and I imagine Andor is gonna get caught up in it. Right? So how that plays out, we shall see. Like, got 2 episodes, and like, I feel like what we're going to get is just a shortened 2-episode arc of, because there's only 2 episodes left, of we're gonna set up now this attack, this operation, right? And essentially it's going to be the classic Hitchcock, right? It's the classic bomb under the table, right? Where we, the audience, know there's a bomb under the table. Andor doesn't know there's a bomb under the table. Right? And so we're going to know that they're walking into a trap, and it's going to be the setup for the trap. And I think the last episode is just going to be the trap going off, big action spectacle.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Not excited at all. Sarcastic.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes sense. I want to see how our other little characters are going to tie together, because I know it's not over.
Is Cyril going to play a part? That would because wherever this is, it's not on Coruscant. So if Cyril's going to play a meaningful role, he's going to probably try and attach himself to Deidre. See how that goes.
Yeah, that relationship has to kind of come together, and they already kind of touched once. So
because I'd feel like it'd be too much of an investment within season 1 to set him up. Yeah, so I think Mon Mothma is going to be the only one not involved in the trap. I would imagine Cyril, Deidre, Cassian will be involved in the trap. Luthen might only be involved if he finds out that Cassian's there. But again, we'll see now. He's like, I was ready to let 50 people die.
Right.
I'm going to let 51 people die. Right?
Yeah.
He seems to have taken some sort of shining to Cassian. So, yeah, that'll be interesting.
I think they're going to play it like a 2-hour movie, and I can't wait to see how this goes.
It really will be.
Yeah.
I was checking the runtime for the last one. It was like 45 minutes. That's with the intro and the credits. So it's like, a 40-minute long episode. But Jesus, they crammed it in. Yet again, no fat at all.
Yeah. I hate that this is going to be over.
Right.
I really do. I really do. But it's no reason for me not to think that it's going to not land. I think it's definitely going to land. It's been landing 10 episodes deep, so there's no reason why it shouldn't.
Yeah, I think the last 2 are going to execute on par with everything else. It's going to be interesting to see if this season gets legs after the last episodes drop, where people can be like, all right, we've seen the entire season, right? Because it is an investment to be like, hey, belly up to potentially another subpar Boba Fett Star Wars offering. But to be like, no, it's all out there, and it's a delicious smorgasbord from the left end of the table to the right. Dig in. Like, I am hoping it gets a bump, because, man, it really deserves it.
I think it will. And for those who decided not to talk on the show or review the show, they're going to be behind because we done put in the work and this show has been good. So for those who are out there searching to see, there's not a lot of reviews on this or not a lot of people talking on it. You got us. And we've been here since the beginning. And I'm so glad that we, that we're going to do it anyway, but I'm glad that, like I said, it's a great show that we look forward to talking, because it's not even our scheduled time. Usually we wait a couple of days after the last episode.
You're like, I just
talk.
finished. We need to talk. I was like, holy shit. I knew I was jazzed about this episode. Was not expecting the phone call of my God, this show.
Yeah, I had to say something. But yeah, this is I can't wait for the last two. Like I said, it's gonna be bittersweet for sure. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to it. I don't know what else to say.
Can't fucking wait.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Jay and Ryan talking about Andor, episode 8, 9, and 10. Until next time, peace.
And Star Wars. Dad jokes. Boom.
Oh, great.
Hey, this is Jay, and I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. I just want to let you know that this conversation is part of a larger conversation that continues on the next episode. Thanks for listening.